Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome back to the Tiki Sessions here at Kon-Tiki Bar in Portrush. As always, Stuart from Rawee Board Company, and behind the bar we have Ash. How's it going this week, Ash?
I'm really good, thanks man. I'm so happy we've got a bit of a local legend here, Hanno from freediving in Northern Ireland, and I worked with Hanno years ago in a surf school, and it's been an absolute pleasure knowing him, so I'm so excited to have him along. Tonight I've made you it's called a yellow dwarf, basically because it's a short, yellow, punchy drink. It's really, really strong. We made it with a little bit of an aged rum, some pineapple juice, some fresh chilli, and a little bit of lime and pineapple in there. So I hope you enjoy, Hanno, and I look forward to having a chat with you.
Brilliant. No, thanks so much for having me here, and excited to taste it.
You are, dude.
Yellow dwarf.
Happy days, it looks awesome. So, obviously with the accent, you're not originally from Portrush. So I did a bit of research on you, and you come from a town or a city in pretty much the centre of Europe, in Germany. Now, my knowledge of you is as a surfer, as a freediver, coming from a landlocked part of Germany. How did you get into surfing?
So landlocked as much as you can be, 8 hours to the ocean. But I grew up next to a river, and also I grew up on a boat. So from early stage on, I just fell in love with the water. And then at the age of 12, we traveled to Italy quite a lot. And then I saw windsurfers, and I was too small holding a sail. So I just ditched the sail, my uncle's windsurf board, and started catching waves. And I caught my first wave, and that was it.
In Italy?
That was in Italy, yeah.
Oh, nice, right?
Like messy storm waves.
Cool.
But it was good fun, and since then I just caught the bug and wanted to live by the ocean.
Brilliant. And as well as surfing yourself, you also ride a jet ski, and you do tow-in and safety for Almini as well whenever he's doing big wave surfing. So from surfing, I've always wondered, from surfing what I would call normal size waves, like weekend waves that would get here in Portrush, 5-6 foot waves, to getting into big wave surfing. What's the progression for somebody like you from going from those smaller waves into pretty much life-threatening waves?
So where I grew up close to hills, and from an early age we would bomb down hills with our skateboard. So I always kind of liked that rush, and then I started surfing in Hawaii, and they have big waves basically all of the time, like what we would consider big there or here, So I lived there for like 2 years, and then when I came back, I surfed other places around Europe. So from an early stage, basically from the beginning when I surfed, I was kind of exposed to bigger waves. And I just really felt that I liked that, and it kind of really helped me that I was exposed to certain situations where it was kind of serious, or I was really tested. So it kind of really helped me build up my confidence. And not everybody likes to challenge themselves all the time, but for me it was kind of like I always wanted the next level. And it was just a steady progression, and Al really helped me so much in that, because you come to a place where it's just you wanting to surf certain size of waves, and then you don't know, it's if you go on your own, it's really scary or dangerous. So having him there pushing me was really helped me to go to the next level. That really helped me a lot.
Do you lose the stoke on small waves, man?
No, not at all. I mean, when you surf big waves, sometimes you might only get 1 or 2 waves in a session. Sometimes not a wave at all. Sometimes I remember last year or 2 years ago, we traveled like 2 days up and down the west coast. We didn't get one surf.
Wow.
So that happens. And whereas in small waves, you can get 20 waves maybe in a session in an hour.
Because I think that has to be, because if you get so picky and you have to have the certain conditions for you to enjoy yourself, and we very rarely get them unless you've got a secret spot that you guys go to. Very rarely is it overhead height and clean, and I would imagine that would get frustrating.
Yeah, it's not also that, but also you know, look at the forecast and the conditions look perfect, but then they don't translate into the good conditions on the beach on the day itself. And that can be really frustrating. No, independent of the size, but yeah. There was a time where it really frustrated me, and now I just, you know, I try and kind of extend what I do. So, you know, freediving on the days where there are no waves, paddleboarding when it's a bit smaller. So I try and have something for every day. I want to go into windsurfing now, or foiling.
Yeah.
So
then you can do that on the bad small offshore days as well.
It's weird because like when we were kids growing up in Port Stewart had loads of windsurfers, and I remember it being a huge thing, and it seemed to die down massively. But I've seen them popping up with the odd windsurfer, certainly at White Rocks. I've seen it get a fair few recently, and maybe it's making a bit of a resurgence. Is that big in like the German lakes?
Yeah. Well, all over Europe would have been big, and I mean, you know, when we went to Italy, like, everybody was just windsurfing. But I think now it's just being replaced a lot by kiting. Surfing. And
kite surfing is quite popular around here now as well, so it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So you take the big wave surfing. What sort of size waves are we talking whenever you're out? Because everybody's going, you know, and there's that eternal argument of how waves are measured and so on and so forth. So, you know, what are your biggest waves that you've been on?
Yeah, it's funny, you know. A lot of times it's not really, you know, how big it is, but like how powerful it is. But you know, everything really that's, you know, bigger than 3 times your size is, once you're in the water, because your head is at the level of the water, everything like bigger than that looks big. Yeah. You know, and some places are more dangerous or more, you know, put more fear in you than others. Just the way where they break, for example, you know, in close to rocks or, you know, in really bad kind of currents. So it's not just the size itself, because some places, you know, we surfed where they were really big, but then they break in a really safe area. But you know, so, you know, I haven't really surfed like big waves, you know, say not bigger than 50 foot, you know, say 40 foot.
You know, relatively small waves, you know, 50 foot.
You know, something like
50 foot's a big wave.
40, no, I haven't surfed as well. Say 40 foot, something like that, you know.
So one of the things I really want to know, right, is, and you know, I've known people like yourself and Al and Cotty, who's doing amazing things out in Nazarene and stuff like that at the moment. When you get on one of those waves, right, and you're going down it, and you're probably pushing 20, 30 miles an hour going down it at a pretty steep angle, what the hell's going through your head? Because for me, it'd just be shit. What's going through your head?
Yeah, I remember one particular wave, actually probably the biggest at that point. You know, I mean, now it's not really, it wasn't that big, but it was really critical. It was a really critical wave, really steep. And for me at that time, it was the biggest that I've surfed. And the day before, I cracked my leg. So I couldn't even sit, you know, I couldn't even sit properly because my leg hurt so much. And just going out, I thought, you know, what am I doing here? But the day was perfect and Al was there. So I thought, you know, this is exactly what I wanted so long. He's gonna help me and push me. And we're actually paddling together into that wave. He was a bit deeper, and I saw the big set coming just out of, you know, the horizon would go black, and then I saw this big set coming, and he just said, I'd go paddle, you know, just screaming at me like, paddle, and I just started paddling, and I just knew like, I'm just going for it now. And I think would just push me, and then, you know, I would get steeper, and I would go higher and higher, and it would just get really steep and really lined up. And he would still scream, go. And I just like, the only thought then I had, like, you know, I better make that now. I can't fall because my knee, I think I must have torn, you know, a bit of the ligament, or not torn, but like really kind of overstretched it. And I went down, and like, it was really like hairy. I was on the edge, on one rail, just going down. And I heard him just screaming behind me. I thought, wow, because I thought I was very steep and late already, and he was already even deeper and steeper.
He is on the same wave?
On the same wave, yeah, we were going that same wave.
Where's the enjoyment?
It was amazing.
like, is it not just sheer fear, survival, and then once you've done it, fuck, that was class?
No, like, you know, in that moment you don't really think anything. Everything just comes down to that one moment, and you just, you know, it's hard to explain.
Your training kicks in?
Yeah, your training kicks in, but also everything else just, you kind of zoom into the moment. It's really hard to put into words. And to be honest, whenever you see any surf movies and people explaining what happens, it's actually, the less they talk about it,
Yeah.
the more actually it comes over. Because
yeah.
the more you talk about it, try and put it into words, the less it fails, the more
Yeah.
it fails.
So you're obviously surfing waves of that size, and that's something now that you're doing as a business, is surf survival as well. You know, and you know that those waves are life and death waves. Things can go wrong. Surfers have been killed before. Talk to us about surf survival and the sort of stuff that you're training people to do now.
Yeah, so the bigger waves you surf, the more time you spend underwater without control. That's just part of it, and that's something that you have to embrace, because if you want to surf bigger waves. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter if you surf big waves or not, because if you're a beginner, it doesn't really matter. Whatever is big for you, that's big, and that puts fear into you, and it depends on how you deal with this. So really, I want to teach people or help them dealing with their fears, whatever is big for them. So it's not for people who want to surf 15 plus feet waves, but anybody just who wants to be more confident in the water, be able to deal with their fears in situations where they're out of control, to learn what can actually, there's a lot you can still control, and how to deal with that, so that you don't have to let the fear or panic come over or take over you, and you can still stay relaxed.
Yeah, because like anytime I'm in the water and I get totally slammed by a wave, it's always that time that you come out from the water and another wave cracks on your head, and then you come out and another wave, and you always think that you're like half a second away from running out of oxygen, but you always get back out. But I suppose it's that panic that's using up more of your oxygen when you're doing that. And this again then leads on to free diving.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember, you probably don't because you've taken out hundreds of people, but myself, my wife and my sister-in-law went paddleboarding with you in Portrush, and the dolphins were out swimming with us that day. It was a beautiful day, and gorgeous day, and we were in this inlet of rocks, and we turned round and your paddleboard was empty and you were gone. And I was like, where the hell's he gone? And you were gone for like a minute or more, and I was like, I had no idea. And then you just came out from under the water and you're like, I was down having a look. I was like, what? So what's the crack of freediving now?
Yeah, so that was because you spend more time underwater when you do surf bigger waves. I kind of tried to find out what you can do to become more confident in yourself. And obviously holding your breath is helpful when you're underwater. So we spent time training with Barry, for example, Barry Atterson.
Oh yeah, I know Barry, yeah.
We did a lot of training together, like rock running. So we, doing that, I realized how beautiful it is under the water along the Causeway Coast here.
Just for anybody who doesn't know what rock running is, it's like what you see in Baywatch years ago, where they go to the bottom of the sea, they hold a rock, and they run and they hold their breath. And Hanno's doing himself a bit of an injustice here. So like you are extremely good at holding your breath, and you can hold it for an awful long time. And there's the famous story of you being in Portugal doing your freediving course, and you had to hold your breath for a certain amount of time, and you basically tripled it by the sounds of things. But like, can anybody learn to, or like, can you develop that myoglobin in your body to make sure that you actually like maximize what you can do underwater?
So the basic thing for beginners is, you have to understand how your chemistry works, how we are wired to breathe. And once you understand that, and once you kind of come to terms a little bit with the pain side of things, and you understand it's good pain and it's not necessarily dangerous pain, so you don't have to become panicky when you feel like you're running out of air, which is you're not really running out of air. You're just getting high on carbon dioxide. So it has nothing to do with you getting low on oxygen, that bad feeling. So it's just understanding that, and coming to terms with that. And you can also increase your tolerance. It's a bit like your heater at home. You can up or down regulate it. So you can down regulate your tolerance to carbon dioxide. Or you can also call it up regulating, because your levels for tolerance will be higher. You can tolerate higher levels of carbon dioxide before you have that same feeling of I'm running out of breath.
Yeah. And I know we've talked about, like, because I've dived in South Africa and I've dived like scuba diving in Australia, and we've talked about how good the visibility is on a good day in the North Coast, and the sort of like the rock formations and the sort of bathymetry underneath the seabed. Like,
Yeah.
How good is it in Portrush, or is it as good as?
Yeah, so right now, because we have a lot of swell, the visibility is not that good. In wintertime, usually, it's more for surfing and not so much for snorkeling. It has also to do with like the rainfall and then the rivers around here. This bit, it's just visibility suffers from that. But on good days, so say come like April, May onwards, we can have like 20 plus meters.
Amazing.
Wow.
Really amazing, really amazing.
And what sort of like you're not going to see what sort of marine life do you see? Is it seaweed and sponges, or do you get to see?
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. Already, to be honest, just the seaweed itself is amazing, and that's something that I realized. I did my training in the Canary Islands, and I mean the visibility is like 30 meters on the good days, 20 on bad days. So visibility is amazing, but it's barren rock a lot of times. There's a couple of places where you have like wrecks and you can go into the wrecks, which is amazing. But most of it is like, it's really boring. It's like a desert. Here, we have the kelps and it's like kelp forests. It's like a paradise. It's
And
really
are you
amazing.
never swimming through those kelp forests going, something's going to come out of that, like a conger eel or something like that? Because that would be my fear of it. We'd be going down there, and it's the same as any horror movie or whatever. It's that unknown of.
I'd be scared to ask Hanno that.
like,
Yeah, there was one story. I went to the Scaries, and in the Scaries there's a spot where you can actually dive from one. The Scaries are the set of islands that we have in front of Portrush, and there's one place where you can actually dive underneath one side to the other side of the Scaries.
Wow.
Oh, right.
But you have to go through that dark cavern. And the first time I went through there, you go down, it's like 8 meters deep, and then you just see that blackness in front of you. And you see like, say like 20 meters away, you see that patch of light. So I went in, but all you see is like this little space around you, and it just goes into darkness. And then there's stuff down there, or potentially there's stuff down there. And one time actually I went in, and that huge kind of torpedo-like thing came straight at me and like half a meter below me, shooting out like at high speed. And it was a seal, a big seal. So I was kind of hanging out there. And they're always there, kind of, they're a bit like dogs, kind of very curious, looking around what you're doing. But yeah, I remember I was like underwater screaming, like, because unexpectedly that thing comes out of the darkness, shooting towards me.
That happened to me in the Maldives on my honeymoon. We were snorkeling, and the snorkel instructor was in front of us, and he turned around and he just went like that. And we turned around, there's a reef shark behind us. Now, reef sharks don't attack people, so they tell me. But at the same time, when you're from Northern Ireland and you turn around and there's a shark that's bigger than you, 5 meters behind you, it sort of scares the hell out of you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So how long can you hold your breath for then?
So during that course, I actually I did it once before the course, and since then, like around 6 minutes.
Wow.
6 minutes is like but yeah, I'd like to, really put training into it and maybe even take part in competition. I haven't really trained particularly for holding my breath for a length of time. Rather, there's certain exercises you can do for that. I usually train repetitively, for situations that you described, because it's usually not one wave that you fall off your board. It's the one that comes after, and then the next one after, and that. So I train in a way where you come up, you have maybe only one breath, and your heart rate is high, at 180. It's easy to hold your breath when you are lying on your bed and you're super relaxed. But that's not the reality when you surf bigger waves, or you go into the water anyway, because your heart rate will be up, you have a high metabolism, you're using oxygen. If you sprint, for example, in the water, or you run up a hill, or you run up a staircase, your heart rate will be up. If you then try and hold your breath for like 20 seconds, that's really tough.
Yeah.
And then you breathe, exhale, inhale, and then you have to do that again 6 times. That's the way I train for those things. Whereas when you hold your breath and you're really relaxed, it's a different type of training. You suffer towards the end for like, a minute and a half or 2 minutes. And actually your whole body is like convulsing. So it's a completely different type of training. But yeah, so at the moment 6 minutes around.
So from what I'm gathering from this is everything that you do for fun, the rest of us would hate to do, basically. So they would.
Yeah. And here, Hanno, the whole purpose of this is to bring sort of like-minded businesses in the North Coast together and sort of share their experiences and hopefully help each other out along the way. You basically started a business during a pandemic, and it's been a really shit year. But how have you found it? How have you sort of, because you, like, in my opinion, like, my brother went on your course and he said it was amazing and he really enjoyed it. How have you found operating and starting a business through a pandemic?
Yeah, so actually maybe just quickly before I move over, one thing, but it kind of leads into, you know, doing that through the whole pandemic, because doing those exercises, and you can, you know, it sounds really tough now, but you can really dial it down and make it so that, you know, complete beginners enjoy it and take like really good benefit from it. You will also see how it helps you dealing with stress and things like the pandemic or lockdown, you know. So, and I also do like breathing exercises and breathing workshops.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, so, you know, those kind of exercises help me to de-stress, but then I can also help people to de-stress. So I do breathing workshops, but then also I found out obviously everything is online and those things I can do online. So I just had to rethink a lot and think, what can I offer online? And a lot of those things I can actually thankfully do online. So I'm really blessed with the things, you know, that I could actually very quickly have a good think about what can I do, offer that, and people actually wanted that. So I was really blessed in that way.
And I think that's a recurring theme for most of the Tiki sessions when we're speaking to people. It's the ones that COVID's obviously been terrible in so many ways, but it's accelerated people who are forward thinking and are adaptive and can sort of think outside the box and say, right, I need to adapt to this and I need to offer a different, and it's those guys that are really thriving and saying, you know what, I've adapted and I've got a different offering now and things are going well. And I think that's key, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing you can do right now, unfortunately. But yeah, like sometimes, you know, it does give you the extra kick you kind of need sometimes to drive innovation.
Yeah.
And one of the things I find really interesting is on Facebook, I keep seeing all the different types of people that are coming to you for the free diving course and surf survival course, and it's not just those naturally athletic people. There's people from all walks of life. There's all ages, you know, male and female. So, you know, it seems that, you know, it's really taken off. And that idea of free diving, which is a relatively new idea around this area, seems to be quite popular actually.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that's something really important as well that I try and put out there. You don't have to be like an athlete to do that type of sport. Again, you know, you can, so my intro level courses, we only go down to 5 meters, but you don't have to go down to 5 meters, you know, you can go, you know, to 1 or 2 meters, and everybody can go down to that depth. You know, you only have to hold your breath for 4 seconds. You can go down to 2 meters and back up again, you know. So whatever you go down, you have to come up, obviously. So 2 meters, you're actually diving 4 meters.
Yeah.
So if you go to 10, you know, if you go down to 10 meters, you have to dive 20 meters. Most people don't think about this.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It's always how deep you can go, but you're like you say, you're doubling it.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's all relative because like we're talking about surfing and surf survival, but you, like, I'm sure you've had guys and it's who just want to get into the water, who are scared of the water, and you're educating them how to spot a rip, how to, you know, like, so they can actually go and bathe responsibly. And
exactly. So I really try and break it down. You know, for example, when you know, we talked about the surf survival. That's something that I offer, for example, now, you know, to people who already do know how to surf or not necessarily know how to surf, like, again, big waves, but they kind of have the basics in place, like about the currents. And then, you know, you don't have to think about those things anymore. You can focus more about yourself and how to stay calm in conditions that would, you know, where you're pushing yourself. But then I also thought about what can I do for people who have not reached that level yet. And then exactly, so I offer them courses where I teach people to get the essentials right and safety. So like teaching them about currents, you know, how to spot them, forecasting, just how to stay safe in general around the beach and in the water. And that is quite a popular course also now with a lot of swimmers. More and more people dipping and swimming in the water, open water swimming. Then you also have the cold water related safety. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can, you know, when you think about it, kind of branch out a little bit and help people at the same time and enjoy it in a safe way.
Yeah, and I think especially where we live, and you know, we're talking on a previous Tiki session that, you know, within a 10-mile radius with 10 beaches and world-class beaches and different types of beaches, like Port Ballintray can be a dangerous beach.
That's
and
right.
Any beach can be a dangerous beach, but I think, you know, water safety is massively important. And, you know, growing up, I don't think there's ever really been anything like this before. So, and, you know, I'm totally surprised there hasn't been a water safety course, you know, where somewhere that we are surrounded by beaches.
I'm absolutely, I like you say, really stunned that there's nothing like this yet. Because you do see people getting washed off, say, for example, Castle Rock, the pier, like regularly. You know, just a basic understanding of different swell types and why, you know, you know, even if they're big waves, like maybe you shouldn't be walking there.
Yeah.
But to be honest, you know, a lot of times I do understand why people make those mistakes much better now over the last couple of years, you know, because it does require a certain understanding and seeing patterns in the water, which you do need to spend a bit of time at the water to be able to understand that. So I tried really then help people, you know, develop those tools and develop their observational skills so they can and make those informed decisions. You know, is it good on that day to go there, for example, or is it maybe safer to not go there?
Yeah.
And that was my intention, but you know, it happens on a regular basis. You see the Coast Guard has been called out again, the lifeboat is out again, rescuing people.
Yeah, because I saw in our own big Wednesday that we had this year, you know, there's two boys tried to go out at the side of the Arcadia, you know, and you know, again, there was the arguments of who are we to tell people not to do stuff. People have to have responsibility over themselves. But these two guys look like they've never been on surfboards before, you know. And then I know Big Al rescued somebody in Castle Rock recently as well. Yeah. And the inshore lifeboat was out last week, I think, to two surfers caught in rips.
Yeah.
So, you know, all these things it's hugely important that safety comes first, because it is meant to be fun and it is meant to be a sport, but it's not fun if somebody doesn't come home.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And Hanno, just with like one of the common themes is everybody's sort of so passionate about the North Coast, and it'd be really good to hear your insight because you're not originally from here. Like what attracts you to the North Coast and what's made you stay in the North Coast?
Yeah, so I came here 10 years ago as a student, and before that I lived in like other very beautiful places like Hawaii. I lived there for some time. You know, Spain, Brazil, Morocco. But, you know, when the sun shines here, you don't want to be anywhere else. It's just a certain magic here. Yeah. It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. You know, the coastline, it's still unspoiled.
Yeah.
It's pure. There are many places that, you know, just scream for exploration. It's amazing.
Cool.
And obviously, the people really laid back here as well, so it's nice. And I really like now that people understand that better and better what there is on offer here, rather than looking away. And in some funny way, the pandemic actually helped people understand what they have on the front door. And that's one thing as well. I really try and, you know, not just cater for people who want to push themselves and, you know, for example, surf big and bigger waves, and people who are maybe put the time already into you know, be fitter, but you know, I do also snorkeling things, like again those water safety sessions for kind of more beginner. So I really want to cater for more people to be able to experience the beauty that we have here. So snorkeling, everybody can snorkel. You don't have to go underwater. You can stay on top, and on those beautiful days with the good visibility, you see lobsters, for example, crabs, all different type of fish. We go into caves. I take people into caves, and it's just absolutely magical, absolutely beautiful.
Amazing.
We are very lucky where we live, and like you say, you know, you've lived in some amazing places around the globe, and Portrush is home now.
Exactly, yeah, and you know, I don't feel like I'm missing anything.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, listen, thanks very much for coming along tonight. Absolutely amazing to chat to you. Phenomenal what you do, and especially for me, that water safety, I think it's fantastic. The breathing courses, I'm going to sign up to one of them. I've returned to the water after 20 years of not being in the water, and you know, on, like you're saying, on days that maybe aren't too big, but I feel they're big.
Exactly, yeah.
I get worried, and I maybe don't push myself as far as I could. So it's definitely something I'll be looking into with
Brilliant.
you.
Yeah, I'd love to take you out. Brilliant.
Happy days.
Awesome.
Listen, thanks very much.
Good
Cheers,
stuff.
Hanno.
Thanks,
Cheers,
guys. Thanks
thank
for
you.
having me.
No
Awesome.
problem. Thank you.